On day 20, we'll be looking at this part of our trip. We'll be doing a lot of driving, but we'll also stop at Manzanar National Monument and look at Death Valley National Park. During the early part of the trip, we'll be driving through the Central Valley and its agricultural area. About halfway through our trip, we'll round the end of the Sierra Nevada mountains and head north. In the southern end of the Sierra Nevada mountains, we run into a wind farm. Notice most of these are not even turning right now, although these are. After passing through the Sierra Nevada mountains, we head out into the Mojave Desert. On the right-hand side of the road, you'll notice the lava beds that we'll be seeing. This is a volcanic area. We'll also be passing the Red Hill cinder cones, which are part of the leavings of those volcanoes. Now we're driving with the Sierra Nevada mountains on our left. Possibilities up there in far north. We can go see. There's Owens Lake is actually a salt flat now, and it's mainly dried up. It does have water in it when it rains. And now we come to Lone Pine, California. It's the last town before we get to Manzanar. And you want to stop and get hamburgers before we As said before, the Sierra Nevada mountains are on our left, and the tallest one here is Mount Whitney, the tallest peak in California. And here we can see Mount Whitney, and we're about to head to Manzanar National Monument. Manzanar was a relocation center for Japanese Americans, and there were 10 of them located around the nation. This was not a free area, and they had guard posts all around it and armed guards to keep them in. It had about 10,000 people living in it at its height and 36 blocks of houses. It looked like this when it was at its height, as this model shows, but now there's not much left, just a lot of ruins. The American people were scared of the Japanese Americans because of the attack on Pearl Harbor, and so they put them in these camps to keep an eye on them. It is one of the sad times in our history when we didn't trust people and judge them because of others of their nationality. A few of the buildings have been reconstructed like this barracks to show what their lives were like. And as said before, there's Mount Whitney looming over all of it. Here you can see not a whole lot is left. They were wooden buildings and they eventually just rotted down, leaving a few piles of rocks here and there that were used for their foundations. Block 14, Building 8 has been reconstructed and used as a museum to show what the inside of one of the barracks might have looked like. A family unit lived here and another family unit lived on the other end of the building. Most of the furniture was homemade because they didn't get what they were promised. also had schools for the children here. Now we're going to drive around the property and look at some of the sites. This is the remains of a Japanese garden that was here. And this is the cemetery and its monument. The writing on it says Soul Consoling Tower. This is a former gymnasium and it's now being used as a visitor center. Now we head to Death Valley. We stop in Lone Pine on the way through and get something to eat for lunch. And after eating lunch, it's time to turn down the road heading to Death Valley National Park. As we drive along, we see some low-flying airplanes. There's one of them coming now. These are Air Force planes practicing low-level flying through the canyons in this area. And here comes the second one right now. Now it's time to enter Death Valley National Park. It's the largest national park in the lower 48 states. It's a very dry area and mainly a valley, as it says. This is the map for the entire park, and we're going to be driving along this route to go into the park for today. Our first stop will be Father Crowley Overlook. Here we are looking down into Death Valley itself from a high elevation of about 4,000 feet. We're also looking into a canyon, and this canyon shows the various lava flows that have flown in this area during the different times of volcanic activity. It's a beautiful sight as different colors seem to emerge. This canyon's name is Star Wars Canyon and is used by the Air Force to fly its aircraft through canyons to practice low-level precision flying. And they often are training here. Maybe those low-flying airplanes we saw earlier were actually coming from here. Now it's time to leave the mountains and head down into Death Valley itself. In the valley we come to the first signs of civilization, Stovepipe Springs. We'll stop here and try and get gas, but the pump is running so slow we can't hardly pump gas and decide to go on to the next place we can get gas. This gas seems to be rather expensive at $6.36 for regular, but the next place is going to be even more expensive. And off we go across the valley floor. Next we come to Mesquite Flat Sand Dunes, a large area of about 14 square miles of sand dunes at the widest part of the valley. We'll be looking here a little bit. Next, as we head on down the road, we come to the Devil's cornfield. Some imaginative person thought this looked like a cornfield with the shocks of corn stacked. Up in the left-hand corner you can see them making a shock of corn, and it looks similar, I guess, maybe. We head on across the valley floor, and soon we come to Furnace Creek, which is our destination for today. Gasoline here is $8.75 a gallon. As you can see from the satellite picture, this area is an oasis in the middle of a desert. We'll be staying at the ranch at Death Valley, and it is a oasis with all of its palm trees. Our room will be in this building on the second floor, and so we're going to have to climb up with all of our luggage in order to be able to stay here for the 3 days we stay. After unloading our luggage, we'll be eating at the Last Kind Word Saloon. It's a saloon and also a steakhouse, and we'll be ordering steak. And then it's time to call day 22 an end.